back to Expat Insights. I'm your host Raju Mandhyan. We're still with Jack Canfield, and we're going to ask him a question. Jack, to understand other people, to deal with them, to help them become better, I understand it requires that you go through the pain and the process and the darkness that these people live through. To be able to see their darkness, to be able to heal them from their darkness, you need to have darkness inside of you. Do you subscribe to that?
Well, we all have a shadow side. There are two sides of everything, the yin and the yang, the dark and the light and so forth. I don't know that you have to have darkness in you. I think you have to have confronted the darkness in you and worked with that. That's what builds compassion. That's what gives you understanding and empathy, caring. I mean, in my life, I grew up in a family where my parents got divorced. My father was a violent man. My mother was an alcoholic. My stepfather was a workaholic, wasn't home much. You know, I've had a divorce myself. My first marriage didn't end, and you know, less than 20 years. It was a good marriage. It just died. You know,
Your wife passed away?
No, the marriage died.
Oh, the marriage died.
She didn't die. But it just got dead. I always describe it as, you see these movies that start out in black and white, and then they turn into color when the person wakes up. Well, ours went from color to black and white.
Yours went from color.
It lost its joy. And so we were done. You know, we had no more to teach each other, to give each other, to serve each other with. But because of that, we went through a divorce, and the courts got involved, and I lost a lot of money, and I didn't think it was fair. And so I can relate to all of those kind of things. You know, I've had pets that died and friends that have died of cancer. And you know, my first business went bankrupt when I was young, so I've been there. You know, and so I can relate to people. Both of my parents are dead, so I can relate to that. So I think the having confronted those issues and confronting my own fears and my own limiting beliefs, when people are scared or when they're dealing with grief or whatever it might be, I can relate to it.
You can relate to it.
But I don't have to go down with them. In other words, I don't have to get in the mud to pull them out of the mud. I just have to know they're in the mud and extend a helping hand up.
Is there anything now that scares you? Is
Anything?
there any? Yeah, you said there is zero fear, zero guilt, zero anger. But is there anything that could shake you up? Is there something that could just come along tomorrow and say, Jack, this shatters your life?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think that if someone had a gun to my head, and I really thought
that would be a logical threat.
Or if I was kidnapped or a
Yeah.
terrorist attack or something, I'd probably have a normal human reaction to that. But you know, I don't know what I could lose that would really matter. I mean, if I lost my house, if I lost my wife, if I lost my reputation, I'd still be me.
I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that before I asked you that question.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I'm afraid of losing is the love of my loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
That's the major fear. I'm not afraid of losing anything else.
Yeah.
So what does that tell me about myself? If I'm afraid to lose who I love massively.
Well, it means you're attached to that person being the source of the experience of love for you. It's not a bad thing. It's very human. It's very normal.
Yeah.
I've come to the place where I know if my wife died or my son died, that I would have enjoyed them totally up until now, and that there are thousands of other people living on the earth that I would be able to create loving, meaningful relationships with.
Not losing them as in like them losing their life, but them stopping loving me.
Well, you know, here's the deal. If you did something that you thought everyone was going to stop loving you forever,
Yeah.
then you might feel like, wow, where do I get love? Where do I find my meaning? Where do I find comfort?
Okay.
But if you realize someone else would love you, I mean, think about this. O.J. Simpson was accused of killing his wife in America, Nicole Simpson. You probably remember that trial.
Yeah, I remember the...
And he got off, and he went out, and within weeks he had girlfriends. Here was a guy who probably killed his wife.
Probably, yeah.
And yet there were still people that were willing to love him. It's the weirdest thing. So given that, would you ever really be alone?
So no. So what I should be worried about is creating harm towards them, towards their being, for creating the lack of love coming from them. I should be afraid of that?
That would be more, yes.
That would be a more rational thing to do.
Yes, I agree with you.
All right. Wait, one more thing.
Sure.
The whole world, the whole universe, 6.5 billion of us, we are all heading towards somewhere. We are multiplying in numbers. We are building bridges. We are building skyscrapers. We are innovating on technology. Where are we going as a humanity, as the whole civilization? are we going to stop? What are we going to get out of this?
Well, I'm a big believer in population control.
Yeah.
I think that right now, according to the research the scientists have done, we're using up about 2 Earths a year. And what that means is we're using up the water, the air, the resources, the fish, the fowl, the plants, at a rate that it takes the Earth a year to recover so much air. You know what I mean? Like, you know, take the carbon monoxide out and put back in the good stuff in the rainforest and so forth. Right now, we're using up at a rate faster than the Earth can replenish it. So we have to like scale back. There's a project called 4 Years Go that a friend of mine started.
4 years?
4 Years Go, G-O.
Yeah.
Because according to her and the scientists that she works with, we have literally 4 years to turn this around. If we don't turn it around in 4 years, stopping the level of pollution, we will actually not make it. There were some scientists in Europe that actually, they make reports on trends for Fortune 50 companies around the world, big multinational corporations. And what they found out was a couple years ago, they stopped making trend reports because they said there was absolutely no trend that was going to turn out well. They couldn't see anything working. And my friend went over and ran a workshop that I'm actually a leader of as well, called the Symposium. It's called Awakening the Dreamer, Changing the Dream. The idea is we're all in this dream, this trance of consumption. We no longer consider ourselves consumers, we call ourselves, or consider ourselves citizens, we call ourselves consumers. And we always think that growth has to happen. If the GDP isn't growing, then the economy is failing. The fact is, we're getting to a place where growing is like cancer. You don't want cancer to grow, you want it to stop growing. So what they did was, we ran one of these symposiums that showed what was happening in the world, and these people were totally moved by it, moved to the point where they were willing to change their behavior. And what these scientists said was, there was one thing we didn't calculate in our trend setting, and that was the ability of human beings to transform. And so if human transformation is possible, the people like you and I can scale back. We can turn our lights off. We can use less hot water. We can use canvas bags instead of plastic bags. We can cut down our consumption. Then we can turn this around. But literally, if we don't, where it's going to head is species extinction, and including us. The Earth will survive. The Earth survived the dinosaurs. We won't, but the Earth will. It'll shed us. So we have a choice to make. We have to become conscious evolutionaries, meaning we have to consciously evolve the next unfoldment rather than let it run rampant, or we will, as a human race, become extinct.
Besides that, Jack, that would be managing the environment well, that would be nourishing the earth. No?
Yes.
But what I'm talking about is the universal soul.
Yes.
Yeah? We spoke about the individual soul that wants to keep on moving, it reincarnates. But as a universal soul, as a consolidated soul, where are we going? What are we doing? What do we plan to achieve? Even if the earth and the human species live for the next million years, post that.
Well, for me, I go back again, for me, my goal is consciousness. I think all souls, see, here's my philosophy of this, is that basically everything was one. It exploded. God basically said, I'm going to know myself. In order to know myself, there has to be a self and a knower. So we get duality. At a certain point, the knowing will occur and it will all merge back into one. It may be that in terms of physics, the universe will expand to a point where it will stop expanding and it will start to contract. And if and when that happens, it'll all go back into the one, and it'll be like this little tiny point in space.
The origin.
Yes, and maybe then it'll explode again, and maybe that'll just go on forever. You know, just like breathing goes on forever until it stops.
All right. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Okay, I have 3 more questions for you. One comes from a professor friend of mine, Artilano of the University of Philippines. He says, Jack, name one person living and breathing right now who exemplifies everything that you believe in today. Is there somebody else who you look up to in this world?
Wow. You know, I don't think there's any one person that I would say that is my ideal model of a human being. I mean, I think certainly the Dalai Lama is someone that I have a deep, high respect for, who is conscious, who is active in the world. I read a quote this morning in the Philippine newspaper. I'm going to paraphrase it, but it said something like, the important thing is not to learn to walk on water or to learn to fly. The important thing is to learn to walk on the earth, meaning that you are in a body, you are incarnated, you're here for a purpose, live it. You know, fulfill your purpose here on earth, whatever that is for you, and it's unique for every individual.
Should we question it?
You know, I think I believe that we all have what I call an internal guidance system called joy. That if you follow your joy, you're going to be doing what you were born to do, whether that's be a singer, a dancer, an educator, a scientist, an engineer, an airplane pilot. If everyone follows their joy, I believe all the functions that are needed on the planet from human beings will get fulfilled. But you have to follow your own joy.
So the purpose will come together for itself.
Yes, it declares itself through you, as you, coming through you.
All right. Last question. Have a look at this picture.
Yes.
And what's your take on this?
Well, I know that he came out with a new book, and I
Yeah.
haven't really heard much about it. I know it's
Yeah.
very controversial.
Yeah.
And I can't remember whether he's saying there is no God or what, but so you could tell me what the cartoon is and I'll respond to it.
Sorry, yeah.
Stephen Hawking, I
Yes,
know.
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that?
On
On Stephen Hawking's opinion that he needs more proof.
that there's a God?
Yeah, or there's none.
Well, you know, he may. I don't. You know, I have what I call a direct experience. Often people say, do you believe in God? No. I'd be saying, like, do I believe in you? You're here. I know you're here. So I don't have to believe in you. I know you. So I have a direct experience of that in my life. So he's approaching it from a mental point of view. I don't think, it may be possible to get there. You know, there is I think it's called Jnana Yoga or something like that, where you can get there through mental
Jnana Yoga,
introspection. For me, it's more of a direct experience I'm looking for, and I've had it, and I know without any doubt that exists.
All right, last question. Last question is a question of your choice. Is there something that I should have asked you, Jack, that I haven't asked yet?
I don't think so. I think you've done a wonderful job. I think you could ask me on a scale of 1 to 10, how have I done, and I would give you a 10.
You would give me a 10?
Yes.
But that's not the question. The question is
I
there
know.
a question
Well, I
pending?
know.
Is there a question pending?
I don't have one for you.
Is there something you want to tell us?
You know, I would just look in the camera and say this. Every one of you has unlimited potential to produce anything you want. The question is, how do you do it? And there are many, many teachers out there with answers. I happen to be one of them. This gentleman is one of them. Find something or someone that you resonate with that makes your heart sing, that you're attracted to. The law of attraction is not just about how do you attract stuff to you, but trusting that which you're attracted to. The music, the food, the people, the books, the spiritual paths, and trust that you can learn everything you need to know to create fulfillment, happiness, joy, love, a better world for everybody. You have the capacity. Quit sitting on it. Use it.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was straight from the gut of Jack Canfield. This is your host, Raju Mandhyan from Expert Insights, and it's been a great pleasure having you here, Jack. Thanks for the insightful views.
My pleasure.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So enjoy your trip.
I will.
And see you again sometime.
I look forward to that.